Welcome to the Joint Investment Retirement Board meeting, Wednesday, December 6th, 2023. I'm Bill Gerber. I'm going to start the meeting off, and then we'll take nominations for chair. Call the meeting to order. The first item on the agenda is to hear, consider, and act upon the to hear, consider, and act upon the election of officers. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
All right. Do we have any nominations for chair?
I would nominate Carolyn Trabucco to be the chair of the board.
Do I have a second?
A second.
Any other nominations? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
Okay, unanimous. I think.
Yeah.
I
I think that was a four. That was a delayed response.
Unanimous. And just a moment of privilege. We'll be I will be reappointing Carolyn to the board as soon as possible, as soon as we can process the paper. Congratulations.
Great. Thank you. All right, guys. Thanks. Here we go. Back to work. I'm never getting out of here. All right. All right. Thank you. All right, guys, I would like to continue on with the officers. I would like to nominate for vice chair. I'd like to nominate Tom Collmore for vice chair to the board. May I have a second, please?
Second.
Okay. All in favor? Please say
Aye.
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 Any opposed?
Aye.
No opposed? Any abstain? No? Okay, that is unanimous. Thank you very much. Welcome, Tom. Thank you very much. Continuing along, it's my privilege to nominate Eric Newman as secretary this year. It's a repeat performance for Eric. He did a great job last year. May I have a second, please? Second, great. All in favor for Eric Newman as secretary, say aye.
Aye.
Any, okay, that is a unanimous. Great, the vote carries. Thank you, Eric, for coming back. Thanks. Thanks, guys. In light of the fact we're gonna have a pretty short, we're gonna kind of keep this program moving here. We owe you some conflict of interest forms. You have the meeting schedule here before you. I'm gonna move very quickly to that. If it's all right with everybody here, the meetings for next year will follow the same pattern as they did this past year. They fall on the fourth Wednesday of the month. They would fall on January, March, April, July, October, and then December 4th, because the fourth Wednesday of the month of 2024 is Christmas. And so we tend to, we'll move that to the earlier in December. If that meets everyone's approval, if I want to take a second, if I might have a motion to approve the meetings for 2024. All right, Mr. Gerber, may I have a second? Second, okay. All in favor for the meeting calendar for 2024, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
I believe that is unanimous. Thank you very much. Next up, to hear and approve and consider the minutes from the October 25th regular meeting. I didn't attend that meeting. Guys, if somebody who did attend that meeting would like to please make a motion when ready on those minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Okay,
Second.
a second, perfect. All in favor? Any opposed?
Aye.
Okay, terrific, that carries. Okay, two items, guys, I'd like to just put forth here to move forward. One is not on the agenda, guys, that I think is going to be important that we vote on. We will discuss this in detail, but I want to get the vote in while we can. I'd like to create a subcommittee to explore the alternatives available to this board in light of the fact we will be losing our OCIO relationship in Vanguard, given the news that was announced last evening that Vanguard is selling their OCIO business platform to Mercer and will not be moving forward with their public pension, municipal pension business platform. And so we will be left at the dance without a dance partner, and we'll be looking for a new dance partner. And so we'll have an opportunity to talk about that later, but I would like to have the opportunity to have a subcommittee formed so that we can explore the options available to us and come back at our next meeting in January to be able to present what the options are, including, you know, we'll likely have to go out to an RFP, but I think we need to know what our options are. So then we can make an informed decision about what direction and whether or not what that RFP would look like. Questions, Chris?
Yeah, Caroline, I just want to make sure, I don't think we can vote if it wasn't on the agenda. If it wasn't on the original agenda, we got in that trouble before, where we didn't have something on the agenda, we took a vote, then they made us come back, so we might have to call a special meeting for a vote, but it has to be on the agenda for a vote, I'm pretty sure.
Can we vote to add an item with the supermajority?
Well, we can add the item. I think you can always add the item. Well, remember, we're not voting today. We're just kind of creating a subcommittee, right?
Yeah, or having a discussion to create said subcommittee, perhaps.
Yeah, I don't think if we take any kind of vote, that's not on the thing, I don't know if we would, I'm not sure, I'm just saying, just don't, you know, I don't want us to have
Yeah.
to waste our time.
I think what happened last time, and I wasn't on the board, is that you did a vote without putting it on the agenda.
Right.
I think what we can do is add to the agenda. My Robert's rules are a little rusty, but I believe if you take a vote to add an item to the agenda, we can do that.
Okay,
Okay, so can we have,
A motion to add
so
it.
would someone like to make a motion to add the discussion of, to add a subcommittee? Who would like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to have a discussion about creating a subcommittee to explore options with the OCIO relationship that's being has to be going forward.
Second.
Okay, all in favor of adding this item to the agenda? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so we've added the item to the agenda. Now what? Okay.
We have a discussion or
And-
let's give a little background. What
Okay.
occurred.
Okay, so the discussion is, and we'll get into more robust discussion on that a little bit later, but we are uncertain about how much time we have. And so it is news that came out last night. We don't really know how much time we have. It's a lengthy process on our part, and we have to get moving on it quickly. Right, I'll volunteer to be on this subcommittee. Sarah, do you like to participate and be on the subcommittee? Tom,
I'll join to this.
Eric, okay. Okay. So the four of us will have volunteered to be on the subcommittee. And we will get to work on it. Okay? Done.
Can I ask about the news itself?
Yeah, can we get on to that in just a moment?
Yeah,
While I
yeah,
have my
yeah.
quorum, and then we're gonna spend a lot of time on the
Okay,
news.
great.
Okay, and then the last, do I need to vote to create the
Yeah.
subcommittee?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to make a motion,
Second it.
second, and the motion is to create the subcommittee with the four members to evaluate the options available to us.
Create the subcommittee because it wasn't on the published agenda.
But that's okay, we added it to the agenda, we think under the rules, and if somebody's gonna ding us on it, fine, they'll ding us on it. And,
Okay.
but we still have to talk about it, and there has to be a provision for emergency items. This news came out yesterday, and we have to be able to move on it. I can't wait another week.
I'll read from, so I looked it up. It says, in short, a motion to amend the agenda requires a simple majority vote. So that's the motion to amend. After the agenda is adopted, the vote requires a 2/3 or larger majority to pass. So as long as we have a super majority, then
Okay,
I'm good.
did you hear that, Chris?
Yeah, but I don't think that's exactly what we're worried about. I think it's just that the public needs to know if we're taking any kind of vote. And they didn't know that because it wasn't published ahead of time. And that's what we got burned for before. Again, this is different than changing the, the discount rate, I think, or what it was last time. So this, I don't think the consequences of us taking this vote isn't the end of the world. I'm just saying we did get burned for a rules violation at one time. And I think we can't have a vote without the public being informed.
Maybe in the minutes I could put due to
Yes,
the recent news
yeah,
receiving from our portfolio manager, the board thought a amendment to the agenda was necessary as these are serious changes that could affect the portfolio going forward.
I think the phrase time is
That
of the
and-
essence might be
yes.
helpful.
time is of the essence, right? We need it, and the need to act quickly, right? And we can, and Chris, we'll run it through the town attorney tomorrow.
Yeah, I can
Yeah,
email it to Jim
I
first.
don't
I
get
think
either way.
the
I'm just-
public would
just making
want
sure
us to have a
all our eyes are
subcommittee.
Yeah, I
I
think,
think the public would be happy that we're taking an active stance on, where the money is gonna go and how it's gonna get allocated. But, Chris, if it'll make you feel more comfortable, and I agree with what you're saying, I could run it by Jim just to make sure that, you're doing all this voting and subcommittee preparation and it's not gonna go anywhere if they say no, so.
yeah,
That's all I'm saying.
got it.
I'm
Okay, so did we vote?
So we had Jared
think we had-
seconding.
Okay,
Have a motion.
so we have the motion to vote, so let's take the vote, okay?
Yep.
Okay, so all in favor of the motion to form the subcommittee, say aye.
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 Okay, that is unanimous. Okay, great. Okay, guys, next vote we have before us is on, this one is on the agenda, it's item number 5. This is to review, this is the introduction, this is to review the IPS. And this comes up every 2 years, and this is our year to review the investment policy statement. And to do this, this requires the creation of a subcommittee to read through it, to look at it, to identify any areas that we might want to look more broadly at or more deeply at as a board. And so I would like to create that subcommittee and in so doing also ask for any volunteers who might like to be part of that subcommittee. So any volunteers for the subcommittee on that one?
I'll go to subcommittee.
Eric, Tom, okay, you guys will start it off. I will be available to you, but we will, okay, Eric and Tom will kick off the subcommittee for the investment policy statement. So, okay, so let's make that motion. Okay, so the motion is I will move to create the investment policy statement review subcommittee, which comprising of Eric Newman and Tom Collmore, to kick off the review of the IPS. We have a second?
Sorry, quick clarification. Didn't we just do this?
We did that we did that 2 years ago.
It was 2 years ago?
2 years ago.
Wow.
I know.
Yeah.
Time
That's
flies.
stunning.
We have to do it every other year.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, so the motion, may I have a second, please? All right, second. All in favor? Say aye. Aye. Okay, that is unanimous. All right, those are the votes.
Carolyn, if I could just, Carolyn, could I just make one comment on the IPF?
Yeah,
So if it might make sense, given the situation, it might be prudent to reach out to Vanguard and ask Brian if he could do a review and say, hey, in light of everything that's going on, do you guys have recommendations on anything that should be changed in this before we start implementing or making recommendations ourselves? They might have some helpful hints. I mean, they're reading through them every single day.
yeah,
Yes,
would you be willing to do that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Without a doubt, yeah.
It can be comprised of you two with
Yeah.
consultation from Vanguard. Yep.
Okay, yes, Vanguard's informally, Part of the
Formally,
process.
informally, Yeah. I'm
okay.
glad to engage with the.
Guys,
the group on it.
I appreciate your allowing us to bucket and put these through very quickly. Okay, now we can slow everything down. Thank you. Brian, may I ask you, talk to us about what's going on, please?
Yes, and let me know if I need to come closer to the laptop if they can't hear me.
Yeah, probably. Why don't you come on up?
You guys, you all right?
We're gonna have Brian come closer.
We're good, I can hear fine, but yeah.
You may not be able to see me, but I'm just coming by the laptop. Yes, so just to inform to JRIB, this was news that was just happened around noon yesterday. And we were all informed. We didn't have any we didn't have any information about this, but just yesterday around noontime, we were announced that by the head of our institutional division, John James, he may have sent a letter out, but that Vanguard is selling its OCIO business, which is referred to as Vanguard Institutional Advisory Services, which you usually see on the presentations, to Mercer. That is expected to close around the first quarter of the year. So it was a surprise. So a little bit about Mercer. Mercer is the largest outsourced chief investment officer in the industry. And so they've been looking to continue to grow that part of the business for them. And Vanguard has well over 1,000 clients, close to 60 billion, depending on what day of the market. And so is a usually a top 10 OCIO provider. So I think that business was very attractive to Mercer. And then further from Vanguard's standpoint, they said in the press release that they're looking to continue to focus more strategically on the defined contribution part of the business, on the record keeping side. So we're part of the institutional division. Now, our division's been part of Vanguard for over 20 years, 26 years, I believe. So it's been a long-standing business. So we have over 100 people that are dedicated to the OCIO business. So it was a surprise to all of us. A lot of people have been there for a long time. We just talked about the assets. Oh, all of the people are going over to Mercer, myself included. So this isn't about like headcount or anything like that. They are literally taking the two entire teams. When I say two, most of us are based in Malvern, Pennsylvania. And so Mercer is going to create an office there. Our other office in our OCIO business is in Scottsdale, Arizona. Mercer already has an office in Phoenix. So those people will work out of the Phoenix office. So there's no impact to the team. The surprising part of this so Mercer has a large endowment and foundation business. They have a large corporate defined benefit business, but they do not service any public plans. They were here, their management team was in person with us in Melbourne yesterday and in Arizona. They didn't get into the reasons, into the background of all of their business, but they do not have a public fund business. And therefore, any of the public fund clients within Vanguard's institutional advisory business will not be coming over to Mercer. And so we'll have to find a new provider, as you were voting on. So that was, I guess, another small surprise within the bigger surprise. I work with, as you know, a lot of public plans, especially here in Connecticut. So I'm working, and I continue to work with you all and trying to transition to, for one, make it smooth and help in any way I can to a new provider. So that's high level. I'll take, and that's a lot of the details that I know, but I'll grab any other questions.
So the big question I have is HarborVest.
Yes. So HarborVest did not know about this either. So HarborVest was just being notified yesterday after it became public. And I think the reason why it was so quiet is because Mercer is a publicly traded company. And so I believe that there's a lot of restrictions on how many people can know about that. So HarborVest was not privy to this acquisition by Mercer of our business. So our CEO, Tim Buckley, was reaching out to HarborVest yesterday. I haven't heard any update on any terms. Now, I'm sure there will be. And so I will please send me any questions. You're not the only HarborVest client within Vanguard.
Yeah.
This would be the third or fourth fund, so I don't have any details on the HarborVest piece of it yet.
So I mean, the most important question that I
Mhm.
have
Right.
is going to be the fee
The
structure.
fee structure, right.
The fee structure, because we have a
Mhm.
preferential and discounted fee structure
Right.
because of Vanguard.
Correct.
And so what happens to that fee
Right.
structure? Are we protected on that fee structure for each of the vintages, for the entire life of the investment, or not?
Mhm.
Right?
Yeah.
And we would like something, and if they say, yes, you are protected for the life of the investment, we'd like that separately, in a separate side letter in writing.
Yeah. And so that question's already been surfaced to the
Yeah.
Vanguard management team. As of coming here, I didn't have any information back from them as far as the fees, but I'll
Yeah.
reiterate it as part of the public minutes and meeting.
Yeah, and then secondary to that would be our ability to continue to invest in HarborVest funds, but
Right.
first and foremost, in my standpoint, it's going to be the fees.
Right.
I want to understand the costs.
Right.
Any other questions you'd want to put on the table?
Yeah, I had a question about the transition period. So are we serviced by Vanguard until a certain date?
Yes.
Mercer never gets involved, correct?
Mercer doesn't get involved in servicing it.
Right. We're gonna be serviced by Vanguard until the date that you're gonna share with us, hopefully tonight, but maybe not.
Well, Vanguard will service it until the transaction closes with Mercer.
Okay.
I believe it, I mean, it'll be past that date too. So all we know is they're looking to close by the first quarter of next year. I still think that, that's not definitive. I think there's different hurdles to get through. But yes, you would continue to be serviced by myself, Clark, all the people, same people that you're working with now. Certainly while we're with Vanguard, and Mercer realizes there has to be a transition period too. And first quarter, the feedback has been given is that that's extremely tight to, go out to RFP, find a new provider, transfer the assets, et cetera. So it could, Tom, be past the closing, given that, myself and others in the entire team would be coming over, there would be no type of, change to you wouldn't expect any change to your team or any of the reporting, et cetera.
And on that note, this predates my joining the JRIB. Is there a contract, I presume, between Vanguard and the JRIB for the services you
Yes.
provide?
Yes.
And is there any, I should just look at it, I suppose, but is there any wording about transitions and
I don't know.
measure, if this is force
Yeah.
majeure or whatever this is called?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. haven't gone back to the contracts.
Can we just make, could I?
I
request
don't-
a copy of the
Yeah.
contract?
I'll get it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Jared, are you the source on that?
Yeah.
Thank you.
So Vanguard's a private company?
Jack, I've got a question.
Hi, Jack. Yes.
Hey, so, that you're aware of, was there any discussion about Vanguard maybe selling the public plan pools of assets to another company and then giving the option for all of those plans to go along with that new company or then go out to RFP? That seems like a more logical way to go about this and a way for Vanguard to, or even Mercer to
Right.
get more revenue out of this.
Yeah, it's a good question, Jack, and frankly, I don't know the answer to that of, was that something they considered? Or is it something, would they consider? So I think it's a great question, and I didn't hear anything about, doing that separately.
Could I just throw a little fact,
Okay.
small fact into the mix? Wiley Tillett was the #2 guy at CalPERS, and he's now the CEO, I believe, of Franklin Templeton's OCIO business.
Yeah.
So he has public plan experience
Uh-huh.
and is running an OCIO. I don't know how good Franklin is at that, but
I didn't even know. I mean, there are so many OCR providers. I didn't even know Franklin Templeton was in it.
They're not big. I think he started the business.
Okay, okay. I mean, it's a huge business. Obviously Franklin Templeton is public and very big, and they bought Lexington, one of your private equity providers, not so long ago. So I guess I'm not surprised they have it, but I wasn't aware of it.
CFA too.
I spoke to Common Fund today.
Great.
Tim Yates lives in Fairfield. Tim Yates is the CEO of the OCIO business at
Mhm.
Common Fund.
Mhm.
They don't do any business in the public plans. They're just nonprofit. And I pitched them the idea of why don't you buy this book of business? You should buy this whole plan from Vanguard
Right.
and run it. And so, maybe that'll happen, and just know where the idea came from.
It
Came
could-
from
it could
Fairfield.
be. I mean, who's to say that there couldn't be a good proposal to do that, right?
Yeah.
From the Mercer and from the
Yeah.
Vanguard side.
Common Fund would be a great cultural fit, I would think, with us and with Vanguard.
That's what I called them, and I said, we are a great cultural fit for you. You should
Mhm.
think of us.
Yep.
Like, come on in. I'm meeting with him
Right.
on Friday.
How quickly would something like that?
Well, firstly, they're not in the business. So,
They decided tomorrow, yeah, we want to do it.
I don't know. I mean, if it's business, right? If they decide, if they all decide they want to do something, they could do it in a matter of days.
Mhm.
If they, really, they could do it in weeks, right? We just have to, come on, I'm like, do it for Fairfield. Yeah,
How
I
many
don't know.
clients- Sorry to interrupt. How many clients are in our shoes?
There's 20 public plans.
It's a tidy,
Yeah.
nice bite size.
Yeah.
I know, that's what I was saying to him.
Yeah,
It's a
and
really nice
not too
bite
big,
size.
not too
Not too big,
small.
not too
Yeah.
small. It's a nice chunk of assets. We're funded,
Yeah.
we're
You can get
nice.
scale.
You can walk here from your headquarters.
I mean, it certainly could be scalable, with that amount of clients, like meaning viable, I should say,
Yeah.
rather than scalable.
You have a business.
For sure. Okay, I think you had quite.
Oh, yeah, so Vanguard's a private company, you take it?
Vanguard is private.
Okay, it's the other one that's public, they're acquiring.
Mercer is public, Vanguard is private, Mercer is public.
Yeah.
And I think that's why it was, under wraps,
Yeah.
any kind of announcement like that. Again, Mercer is the leading OCIO provider. This is kind of a sizable, 60 billion plus of in assets, again, trying to take it over. So I think I know there was sensitivity of not too many people can know.
Yeah,
given
right.
the public
Public
nature of
company.
it. Yeah, right. And so the timeline yesterday was, we were called into a meeting around 12 and we told it was going public at like 1. And then we were still in meetings learning more about it in the afternoon. So we only found out maybe an hour before it went public. And we found out, even further, like 15 minutes before, they said, you all should be meeting in this conference room. So we literally were just told 5 minutes before the meeting, 15 minutes before the meeting, and we're told, and we were learning from Mercer's management, like as I mentioned, was in giving some background, providing some information, but there is really kind of separation until it closes because it is Vanguard, it is still
Business, right?
Vanguard business. So Mercer is not really getting involved in anything, given that we're two separate companies until it closes.
Yeah, regulatory approvals, they're going to need, which could,
Right,
they might have a target, doesn't necessarily means it's going to occur, so.
correct.
But you have to
Yes.
anticipate Q1 is what they're aiming for, so that's our timeline.
That's our timeline.
Right. Because.
No, that's our
Yeah, we
timeline.
gotta
That is
We
a,
gotta anticipate, we gotta do an RFP.
Eric, that's
so,
a
yeah.
tight
right,
timeline for us.
I know.
That is that is light speed for us.
Mhm.
That's hard.
Right.
So when we did this before, it was 6 months. Remember, what was this?
I wasn't
you're-
around, Claire,
You
I
weren't
wasn't
here.
around, but
No,
I.
you weren't, you weren't here. Were you on the board?
No, I came back to.
You weren't on the board. Jack was on the board, right?
That's all contingent upon us having it out in the current contract. If we don't, how long are we bound to Vanguard / Mercer in the current contract?
Oh, it's a good question. I don't.
We've asked for the
I don't know.
we've asked for a copy of the contract.
Providing the service anymore?
You mean, are you saying, was there a time commitment to be bound by?
Well, I'm saying if I assume Vanguard's selling this to Mercer, so the
Right.
contract is going with it. If we said we're bound to that contract for another 2 years, Mercer has our business for 2 years by that contract.
No, they're,
Yeah, Mercer,
I meant they can terminate at will with 30 days, is my guess.
yeah, that,
What I mean, are they going to, is that a done deal?
I bet there's exit language in the contract. We'll
yeah,
see.
there,
I'm sure there is. I'm
from-
just saying what that is yet.
yeah, right, from,
Armed, but there's a chance that they could say, no, we're keeping you guys, but I don't know if that's viable.
from what I know is that next week, and it may, I don't have a date or anything, but then Mercer will be sending out communication, around contracts, whether it's for existing clients or the public side. So, or in the case of public fund clients, maybe more of a letter of termination, but I'm sure that will have language in there. As far as the Vanguard contract, I don't know, I guess Tom brought up, I have to review that.
I mean, there's a chance that, like I said, Mercer could take the asset and sell it to someone else, and we would still, again, if that, how the contract flows, but
Mhm, mhm.
RFP.
we got that, I think that's the first thing we gotta be.
I mean, it's still, Chris, it's still a long process on our end to get teed up with an RFP. This RFP process on our end is lengthy and we have to get going. It's a parallel track.
Well, the length of the process was the actual building of the RFP. I don't know how much has changed since the one that we could definitely use the one that we already created as a template, and I don't think that the creation process needs to be as long this time, since we already have 95% of the framework, it may just need to be
Right.
tweaked, be published, so it's just about getting the bids back in the timeline and then reviewing
Yeah.
it, that's the longer part, so.
Is
Right.
Gerard
That's that,
still in town hall?
written and built.
Gerald.
No, it's Adam.
Adam too, I'm texting him right now,
Okay.
say that I need it as soon as
Oh,
possible.
You're on it, Jared. We would be lost without.
Okay.
I
And
can
there are
send
other-
you his
there are
contact
other-
Information too, if you want.
Businesses that do operate this, there are quite a few, so.
Yeah.
And again, well, I'm very positive and I love working with Brian and I love the OCIO. I just assume too, we're not gonna put it back on the table, or what also be back on the table is, do we still go back to the OCIO method, or do we open it back up to look at again, to the manage again, I'm not saying I'm not advocating for it, I like the model we have now, but is that something we also need to put on the table at least discuss it?
And that's the reason for having the subcommittee.
Okay,
That's why we have the subcommittee, right? So that the discussion can happen. What is the right model? What is the cost? What do we go out for in the RFP, right?
Right.
That's that's the whole purpose, is to be able to have those conversations and figure out what's the right solution, right? What Vanguard brought to the table was scale
Mhm.
and insight
Mhm.
and expertise and a really nice cost point for us,
yeah, no, totally, I mean, again, I
right?
appreciate working with Brian.
And when we got you.
Yeah, no, no,
We
it's-
got Brian.
It's emotional for myself as well. I mean, I enjoyed working with the JRIP from day one. This is something I would have loved to continue. I have other public fund clients in Connecticut. I mean, there's so many aspects of it, and I think things are on a really good path. So yeah, I understand. It's very disruptive to say the least.
Yeah, okay.
Further is just giving more background on the industry where Vanguard could potentially help is because of the growth of the OCIO industry, something that has sprung up is OCIO search consultants. They just simply do OCIO searches in order to provide some objectivity, right? Because a lot of times when you do RFPs, et cetera, it might be led by a consultant like a Mercer, an Aon, et cetera. But a lot of OCIO consultants were formed to help plans with that. And so we have worked with several different OCIO consultants. if that's something that could be of a resource, we could connect, Fairfield or the JRIB with OCIO consultants that we've worked with, and it certainly would be several. So that's another avenue in which we may be able to potentially help as far as resources.
Okay, yeah, that would be great to have, if you have a short list of referrals. Right, okay. Okay,
Bill, did you have a question?
A quick question. Can you just remind me, the deal is they're buying the OCIO business and they expect to not have the public plan business by the time it's transferred over? They're buying it excluding that business?
They're buying it excluding the public fund clients.
Right, so, okay, that makes it a little clearer. They're not buying it and then running it off themselves, so it will not be going over
That,
to Mercer.
that's how it's been communicated, given that they do not have any public fund clients.
Right.
Right.
yeah,
I guess, I mean, I don't know if there's any rules or regulations bound on this, but I mean, there's gotta be some protection for people like us, because as we all know, we're talking right now, it's gonna take a while to transition, and they can't say, give us,
Right.
a quarter, to say, sorry, you guys are on your own. I just can't imagine.
Contract.
we need the contract,
Yeah, we could speculate, but
we need the
we
contract,
need the
we
contract.
have to review the contract.
This has to be addressed in the contract.
Yeah.
It's not, the lawyers can do their job.
Right? No.
Right.
Nope, that's right. Yes. So that's why we have the subcommittee. To review the contract.
I mean, I.
Bigger business, you guys could redo that contract.
Right, to be able to go.
Getting the contract, I think.
That would
You
be
need it at
out of the minutes.
Okay.
You got this, right?
Put that in the minutes.
You know, I know
Order of
it's-
business, we get the contract. Order of business, we get the RFP, we got this. Move fast. Yeah. Yeah, what?
The contract would be public document.
It might be on the web.
Oh, yeah.
I'll pull it up.
I mean,
Well, it's
If I
gonna
can
be
find it.
long,
oh, we can
it's
turn it
long
around.
and it's,
Okay.
I mean,
yeah.
we
So I don't have to-
we have all.
But,
Contract.
we're not, we don't need to go through it here now, we wanna, and plus we wanna have a,
We'll have it in the morning.
we're gonna wanna,
Wanna
the
read it, yeah.
attorney that we used it, that we
Yes.
used too. We will want to re-engage the attorney that we used and have them also review it for that language specifically. Right, because we are not, well, we're good. The attorneys that specialize in this, who we use to review all of our contracts, the pension, the pensions and the pension, the JRIB and the pension funds have their own set of experts and attorneys and outside attorneys who focus just on this. Right?
Yeah.
And we do a very good job at making sure that we have the right team in place, right? And so we want to make sure that they take a good look at that as well. Right? Thank you, Jared. Yeah. So yeah, let's look at that. What do we need to do? Okay. Any more questions on the excitement? The total excitement? Should we talk about performance?
Sure.
Can we skip right to November's performance and skip over October's performance, please? I really like the November performance
Yes,
better than the October performance. I know you don't have the November, but you gave you.
Yeah, the
you told me.
the November performance is out. Yeah, business day 7, so I don't have November performance for the plan, but I can give the committee a sense of
Yeah.
where things are, so the portfolio for the pension is 60-40, as you know, 60% equities, 40% fixed income. Now, there's approximately 12 to 15% in alternatives, so I can't speak to that because that's on a quarterly lag, and we're waiting for the fourth quarter to end up, of course. But let me give you some numbers, at least from the public markets, to give you a sense directionally where we were. Well, first I could bring you to page 8, which is the performance for the pension through the end of October. Now, on here is just the fiscal year to date. That's only 4 months. Fiscal year to date for the first 4 months was negative 4.36. The markets were certainly lower those months. November was a blockbuster of a year, of a month. So let me give you a sense of the 4 public markets that the pension is invested in, as well as the OPEB. So for the month of November, US equities were up 9.4%. International equities were up 8.5. The Barclays aggregate was up 4.2, which was astounding for fixed income return in a month, as rates have fallen, as you know, the market participants think the Fed is done cutting. So the ag was up 4.2, and international bonds were up 3.2%. So up across the board.